I've got a lot of paperwork up here. Makes me nervous.
Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order this morning. Appreciate you being here. If you'd stand with me for the flag salute, I'd appreciate that. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing if you would. I have Pastor Steve Gill on the phone from Turon Community Church that's going to lead us in the prayer this morning.
Would you please pray with me? Our dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning acknowledging that you are the only one truly worthy of praise. In this world of uncertainty and confusion, I ask that you give us clarity. Father, I also ask that you give this group that's meeting today, that you give them wisdom and guidance as they make the decisions that affect so many. Lord, I thank you for their willingness to serve as an elected official when there are so many who no longer care to serve at all. Father God, may we be faithful to you in all we do. Bless them, Lord. Bless this meeting. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate that. Well, again, thank you for being here this morning. Is there anyone here for public comment this morning? Please state your name and where you live, if you would, please.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Casey Swartz, 207 Buckskin Road, Hutchinson, Kansas. Commissioners, I'd like to share a few insights concerning the planning hearing to ban commercial solar in the zoned area of Reno County held this last Monday night.
Point of order. Is this something that's appropriate for public comment at this point, being that it's still the Planning Commission?
Well, it's public comment. I mean, it's what at this point we've.
I just want to make sure we're doing everything legal, Casey. It's nothing.
It would be inappropriate to enter new evidence if the purpose is to enter new evidence, and that would be for consideration. But if it's just public comment about an opinion on the matter, that's fair game.
Okay.
No new evidence whatsoever.
Thank you,
it's actually insights on what happened. Is that okay? My understanding was the hearing was closed.
Yeah, the purpose of the reason this comes up is we don't want people who have not, the goal is to put all the factual evidence that people want to put in or all the official things into the official record at the Planning Commission level, which has already happened. But if it's not something that if it's not a new official item to put in the record, you may comment on it.
I don't think I have anything new. Okay. As a leader of the opposition to the ban, I was surprised that leading up to the hearing, when I spoke with groups or individuals about the subject, almost universally the reaction was that people had no idea a ban was in the works. And when I informed them of what was happening, the reply was usually, why on earth would anybody ban solar energy? In national surveys, over 60% of the population in general supports solar energy, and our younger people support it at rates approaching 75%. However, most residents are unaware of the solar regulation process playing out in Reno County. My goal has been to make them aware. Next, comments made by some county commissioners in the past have focused on how the majority of county residents wanted commercial solar banned in Reno County. I presented a petition to the Planning Commission hearing this last Monday night with signatures from 93 Reno County residents opposing a ban on commercial solar in the zoned area of Reno County. Also, residents provided written and verbal testimony to our Planning Commission opposing a ban on commercial solar in the zoned area of Reno County. Now keep in mind, a petition was presented at last November's hearing, but it wasn't for a ban in the zone area in Reno County. It was focused solely on Cheney watershed. In contrast, if you add up all the residents who asked to ban commercial solar in the zoned area from last November's hearing, along with the residents who wanted it banned in the zone area for this last Monday's planning hearing, the total is a fraction of those who want regulations instead of a ban. I feel that zoning shouldn't be a popularity contest, instead should be focused on the proper use of the land, proper regulations and processes, and the safeguarding of property owner rights. One of the more interesting tidbits I learned from Monday's meeting is that the manufacturing and warehousing of explosives is allowed in Reno County. Nonetheless, that does not change the fact that there were 6 times more commercial solar farm regulation supporters than there were commercial solar farm ban supporters for the zoned area of Reno County in the hearing records. Next, I have spoken several times to the leader of the opposition to commercial solar farms in our county. I do not think we are all that far apart on our views. We both want what's best for the county and to protect the land. I think there's room for compromise and common sense mitigation steps in our regulations. And I think our Planning Commission is tuned into this and ready to provide leadership. As a side note, I highly encourage our planners to adopt a strong preference for developers who commit to low-impact solar farm design principles. If you aren't familiar with what these principles are, I invite you to visit my website and view them under the regulations menu. And finally, this is my big ask. I ask that you please do not override your Planning Commission with a supermajority vote and indiscriminately ban commercial solar in the zoned areas of Reno County. I ask that you trust your Planning Commission to do their jobs. Please let them develop responsible, effective, and fair commercial solar farm regulations that will protect and benefit every resident. Thank you. Did I overstep my bounds?
No.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. Appreciate that. Anyone else for public comment? If not, we'll move into the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve consent agenda?
Randy, so as far as like additions or revisions to the agenda.
Oh, yeah, I missed
Sorry.
that. Sorry.
I will need to recuse myself from 7B. And so I will leave once we start discussing that item.
Okay. Got that? Okay. Thanks, John. Consent agenda, vouchers, bills, payments. Do I hear a motion to approve?
A motion to approve the consent agenda as presented by staff.
Motion moved by Commissioner Weitzel, seconded by Commissioner Bogner. Any further comments? Not? Roll call.
Commissioner Hurst,
Yes.
Commissioner Friesen, Commissioner Parks,
Yes.
Commissioner Weitzel,
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner.
Motion passes 5-0. Well, it's such a big consent agenda, I don't know how to look at it. It's just one item. That never happens. You couldn't squeeze something else in there? 7A in business, we'll go on down to that. Insurance renewal and premium rates.
Good morning. I'm Helen Foster, HR Director, and I have Rick Bynes here with me to present the renewal to you guys, and then I'll go into insurance premiums. So I'm going to turn it over to Rick.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me today. Again, Rick Bynes, Employee Benefits Consultant with USI Insurance Services out of Wichita, Kansas. Today we'll be taking you through an overview of what the overall renewal recommendations are from USI as it relates to the group health and dental renewals for the county. In the packet, there were some slides that were provided to kind of take you through those. Yeah. Perfect. So we have a few slides that describe what our actual recommendations were to the county as it relates to this year's upcoming renewal. So there were a few changes that are going to be mandated to take place with the group health insurance plan. One of them is a required change to the employee-only deductible on the qualified high-deductible health plan, which is a mandated requirement by the IRS. So the employee-only deductible is going to increase from $3,000 for the employee-only to $3,200, while the family deductible will remain the same at $5,600. One of the other changes we recommended was making a change with your pharmacy benefit manager, often referred to as PBM. And what they do inside your partially self-funded group health plan is manage your pharmacy benefit. So today we're currently partnered with Maxor and AeroRx, and our recommendation is to make the switch over to Integra, which is one of our partner PBMs that basically does all the same things that the county's doing today in a much more efficient manner. The estimated savings by making this switch is somewhere between $350,000 and $500,000. Again, it's going to include all of the strategies that you have today, such as patient assistance programs and international sourcing is going to continue with the employee incentive cost being at $0 for the employees. The process will look a little bit different, but not much from what it is today. And then pharmacy access will remain the same. So what that comment means is any of the local pharmacies that are in your network that the health plan members are accessing, those same pharmacies are going to be in network if we were to make the switch over to Integra. And then Payer Matrix, which is another third party that we partner with today. They do and source patient assistance for high-cost infused drugs that are covered through the medical benefit. That will also be replaced by Integra because their experts actually do that in-house as well. One of the things that we noticed with the plan design in itself, there were a few brand name drugs that were not able to have the members fill them at a 90-day supply at the retail pharmacy. And we thought that was a little bit prohibitive to those particular members who liked going to the pharmacy and filling their drug for more than just a 30-day supply. So we added that particular enhancement to the benefit, or would like to add that enhancement to the plan design of the county's group health insurance plan. We also marketed the stop loss coverage and evaluated higher specific stop loss deductibles. The reason we do that is that usually the stop loss is the higher component cost of your fixed costs that you have inside your group health plan. So we went to market and evaluated other potential stop loss carriers. We also looked at raising your specific stop loss deductible. And through that evaluation, what we came out with is based on what come back from the market and the risk you would take on versus the premium you would save to raise your specific stop loss deductible, say from $125,000 to $150,000 or $175,000, did not make sense financially this year, so we're keeping it at $125,000. One of the other things outside of the group health insurance package is the county actually offers voluntary benefits to their employees, one of them being standalone cancer insurance. That relationship on the carrier side is going to be changing from the carrier of Prosperity over to Sun Life. The reason that being is that Prosperity, as an insurance carrier, has decided to exit the insurance market for standalone cancer coverage and insurance products. So what we did is, with our partnership with Benefits Direct, we went to the market and found the best option to replace the Prosperity standalone cancer product, and that happened to be Sun Life. So the good thing that came out of it is there were some minor changes in the benefits, but the overall pricing of the cancer product stayed the same. One of the other strategies that we've had in place for a year or so, going into year two, is Tria Health's chronic disease management program. The first year outcome of that particular program, that chronic disease management program, resulted in an overall savings of $85,539 and about a 4.58 to 1 return on investment, which when you compare that to the vendor's book of business, their average ROI is 3.6 to 1. So that particular chronic disease management program has been very fruitful, and what it's been able to do to save the county some money on their claims dollars, but at the same time help members who have these chronic conditions have a resource to help get them better and make sure that they're on the right path to having ongoing treatment for their chronic conditions. Second year outcomes based on the last 9 months is showing a return of 3.5 to 1, which is still a really good return on investment over the last 9 months. What Tree Health does over time is, while they have a very comprehensive approach to the chronic disease management program, they also have more targeted approaches inside of their programs as well, one of them being a blood pressure management program. So what they're able to do is they look at your aggregate data of your health plan members, and they were able to identify that the county has about 147 health plan members with hypertension, and only 30 of those members are currently participating in the TRIA Health program. So the average annual member cost for uncontrolled hypertension is $16,567 versus $6,911 for a member with controlled hypertension. So what this strategy is looking to do is to engage with those 147 people who have high blood pressure who aren't currently engaged today. So by doing that, what TRIA Health did is they made a very conservative estimate about what the return on investment would be, assuming so many people would participate in this particular program. So the blood pressure management program has an estimated net savings of just over $5,800 after the actual fixed cost of the program, which is $30 per person per month to be engaged in the program, based on only 8 assumed participants of the 30 with high blood pressure who are already engaged in the TRIA Health program. So at the end of the day, what we're looking to do is for that particular group of folks who have that diagnosis, we're trying to incentivize them to participate in this particular program to help them get better and help them have a resource to better manage their blood pressure diagnosis, as well as it's keeping the overall cost of the hypertension, of the members with hypertension at this $6,900 level versus the $16,000 level. So when the members engage, they're going to receive a free blood pressure cuff to help them manage their diagnosis and to report and record their blood pressure, which is going to be connected to TRIA Health via a mobile app and an actual portal that TRIA Health has. And then the member will also get alerts via text of when their blood pressure is not being managed appropriately. So that was one recommendation that we felt like, hey, because we know that this opportunity is there and that the ROI is there, even though it's not that great, you're still engaging with a large part of your population who could potentially drive a significant part of your claims. As far as what we recommend keeping the same, everything on here is basically what we're saying we could keep the same. So Fair Market Health, that program has been very fruitful and has been a nice enhanced benefit to the members. So we recommend keeping it the same. Obviously, we want to continue our partnership with TRIA Health on the chronic disease management program. We're recommending adding the blood pressure program as well. As it relates to the other components of your partially self-funded plan, Allied Benefit, we recommend continuing with them as your third-party administrator, utilizing the Allied Advocate program, along with Providers Care as your baseline network or regional network, and your First Health network as your wraparound network for when people are traveling outside of the Providers Care network service area. Your Teledoc benefit has been working very well. We recommend continuing it on with it, along with your employee assistance program, the wellness program. We don't recommend any changes to the other two plan designs that are being offered. So there are actually 3 plan designs that the county offers of their benefit plan: the health insurance plan, a traditional PPO plan, a non-qualified HDHP plan, keeping those plan designs the same, and then just making the one mandated change that the IRS requires on the qualified high deductible health plan. Delta Dental is your vision provider. Delta Dental is your dental provider. Vision Care Direct is your vision provider, and then all the other ancillary products that are with Benefit Direct, knowing that we want to make that one change on the prosperity side. So those were the recommendations that USI made to Randy and Helen and TJ and that we've discussed. And that's what we would request to move forward with today.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any questions? John?
Mostly the same, mostly doesn't affect people. What are some of the edge cases? Like, what are some of the negatives of making some of these changes?
So obviously, when you make any type of switch in a partially self-funded arrangement, you're going to have some things that may not match apples to apples. And when I say that it won't be the exact same that it is today, the majority of that is really tied to the alternative sourcing strategy that we're using on the prescription drug side. So there's a large number of your employees today who are taking advantage of filling their drug internationally and having to pay zero cost for that. That was part of our strategy that we started when we were partnering with Maxor and AeroRx about 3 years ago. As we all know, when we talk about prescription drugs and efficacy of prescription drugs over time, how those change. And there are always drugs that are coming to the market that might be higher quality, have higher efficacies at a lower cost. So what you're going to see is there's going to be outreach to the members who are taking advantage of the alternative sourcing strategy that we're using today. And they're going to have some conversations about what other types of drugs might be available to them. So that's what's going to feel a little bit different, is that they're proactively going to say, hey, there's this drug that's available. Would you be open to changing it? We've made a recommendation to your prescribing physician. Once you guys figure that out, let us know and we'll move forward accordingly. There could be some drugs that we would want to move away from potentially, or make recommendations to move away from, just because of their efficacy. Like, there's other ones in the market that do a better job, that have lower cost, that would be just as good a fit as what someone might be taking today. Or there could be a drug today that's being sourced internationally that, based on how Vintegra prices that drug, they may not have to source it internationally anymore because they have a lower net cost based on their pricing model to be able just to fill it through the pharmacy. So really, when I say it's got to be a little bit different, it's more about how some people will have recommendations from the patient assistance program team at Vintegra on what their opportunity actually is to switch to a different drug. And I think I said this earlier, but I know it's on everyone's mind. As far as the network of pharmacies and people being able to use the local pharmacies that they have today, that's going to be the same. So we wanted to make sure that everyone knew that there's not going to be a disruption on the pharmacy side as far as people being able to utilize local pharmacies to fill their drugs.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Any other question?
All right.
Nope.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the information. Well, do we have a motion to approve this as presented? The insurance renewal and premium rates?
Helen was gonna.
I'm sorry?
I think Helen was gonna.
Oh, Helen, you going to speak again? Sorry.
Yeah,
There's a couple different motions.
Oh, there is, and that's
there is. I don't know if you guys want to do the health plan now and then I go into the premiums, or would you rather I just go into the premiums and then do it all at once?
we ought to hear them first, I think.
Just, okay.
Yeah, jump right in.
Okay, so what I have in front of you is just a look at where our insurance premiums are. If you start on the very left column, you'll see the monthly premium, that is what the proposed 2024 monthly premium is. And then the blue numbering is actually the monthly premium, the monthly premium that it was last year. And that is prior to any kind of split for employer contributions. So that's your total monthly premium. And then if you look at the first set of bronze, or it's kind of orange on here, but the orange columns, the first column kind of shows what it was on a monthly basis for the employer share last year. And then the next column is going to show what the proposed is for this year. And then the bi-monthly is broke out in that next column. The blue column is showing the variance. So that is the amount difference in monthly premium from last year to the proposed new year. And then the next set of orange columns is going to be the same kind of split, but it's on the employee side. So you have the employer-employee. With the IRS mandate, we did have the premium the same for the qualified and non-qualified high deductible last year, but IRS mandated a premium change on the individual side to move that from $2,800 to $3,000 on the qualified plan. And then this year it went up another $200. So now we're at $3,200. So in order to break those apart, they have different premiums now. And so the non-qualified plan can take advantage of a lot of those items that Rick mentioned about the $0 cost. However, the IRS mandates what's qualified for an expense in the qualified high deductible health plan, and individuals have to meet that deductible before they can get $0 costs on anything. And so with that, they are out of pocket a little more. The benefit, though, to having that qualified high deductible health plan is the HSA. So as long as they're on that qualified plan, they can have the HSA plan. So that's why there needs to be a difference in the premium levels on your qualified and your non-qualified plan. So each one of the three plans are listed there. This is for the qualified, it would be a 0.5% increase in the total amount of premium. Your non-qualified is looking at a 2.5% increase on total premium. And the PPO or traditional plan is looking at a 2% increase on the monthly premium. And then there's those splits there. Does anybody have any questions on that so far?
What's the overall increase for the county going to incur?
So the overall increase, because they're different, I don't have like an overall amount. But I can tell you for funding wise, we funded at $4.495 million. That is moving the employee share from 15.67% of the health plan to 16.97% of the health plan. Because we have in here, when USI projects what we need to fund at, they projected that we needed to fund at 4.5. And so that's between our health and dental. And so our total funding is 4.7 for funding.
How'd that compare to previous year?
Previous years, so previous years it's staying about the same. Last year we funded at 4.5. This year is 4.7.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So not much of an increase. Did you have any questions so far on that part? This kind of gives the breakout as far as the plans for what was funded last year, what's funded this year. That bottom, the white row is going to be your last year, and then the colored rows are this year's premium, or what we project for premium. I will tell you there is a difference in our enrollment, and so our enrollment is going down. We used to have about 318 to 325 members on our plan. The last 2 years, we've seen a decrease in our enrollment, and so these are projected off of our July enrollment of what we have right now, which is 308. Considerable difference. And then below that is going to be your dental premiums. We do have an increase on the dental premiums. It's $1 a month for all plans, and it's all on the employee side.
John, did you have a question in here somewhere?
You do.
I was going to let her finish, but do we know why enrollment is going down? Because we
So
got more
I would tell
employees,
you
don't
that
we?
our workforce is getting younger. With us having a younger workforce, when ACA came about, you know, the mandate for insurance was 26. People could stay on their parents' insurance until they're age 26. So as we bring in a younger workforce, they're still being covered under their parents' insurance. So that is my take on why we see the enrollment drop, because our age is dropping in our workforce.
So you don't think we're pricing people out with the gradual increases?
No, I don't think we are. If you look at on the market, I mean, we're very good. They do benchmarks on our plans with other counties and other entities that are not government, and we do very well. We're not the low and we're not the high. We're right in the mid range, so we do very good there. Affordability, this is just something I like to put before you guys each year, just so you kind of understand. This year, they threw us a curveball. They did reduce the percent for affordability for poverty. Typically, it does climb up a little bit, but this year they dropped it down to 8.39% from 9.12%. What this is an ACA mandate that mandates how much we can charge for our lowest cost plan on the employee side. And we have to use safe harbors for this. So if you look at our lowest paid employee that we could hire on is $12.35 an hour. We have to look at them as a 30-hour employee because that's what ACA depicts as a full-time employee. And so that brings the annual to $19,266. So if you take 8.39% of that, you get the $134.70, and that's where we have to be for affordability. I don't like to inch up real close to that just because, like, we got the curveball this year. If they keep dropping that percentage, we're going to be looking at having to drop premiums to make sure that we stay within that mandate. Do you have any questions for me?
Doesn't look like it.
No?
Nope.
Okay. So I think we're ready for the motions.
Okay.
You want your mouse back?
Run with it, Helen, run with it.
My finger's not rolling fast enough.
If you kept that, we got out of here quicker. Darn it.
I'm costing you time, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're all right. Appreciate it. Thank you, Ellen.
Yeah.
Did you have?
I would comment that I think the quality of the presentation was excellent. You definitely know your stuff.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, two motions, huh? Which would start with the insurance renewal.
There's actually three, I
Three
believe.
of them. Okay. Well, all right. Give them to us, Randy. Are they on there?
Yeah, the first one is approve the recommendations
Yeah.
to move to Integra as a new PBM, pharmacy benefit management.
Do I have a motion for that?
I so move to approve the recommendation to move to Integra as a new pharmacy benefit manager.
Moved by Commissioner Hurst. Second? Yes. Seconded by Commissioner Bogner. Any final comments? If not, roll call.
Commissioner Hurst?
Yes.
Commissioner Friesen?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
Commissioner Weitzel?
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner?
Yes. The second motion is to approve recommendations from Rick for an enhancement of benefits with Tria Health. Do we have a motion for that? Motion by Commissioner Bogner. Second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hurst.
Bashful group this
They are a bashful group. Any further comments? If not, roll call.
Commissioner Hurst,
Yes.
Commissioner Friesen,
Yes.
Commissioner Parks,
Yes.
Commissioner Weitzel,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bogner.
Yes.
All right, the third one on there, approve the health and dental premiums as presented and recommended. I'll motion to approve this. Do we have a second?
Here, if nowhere else.
All right, Commissioner Bogner seconds. Further comment? Seeing none, roll call.
Commissioner Hurst,
Yes.
Commissioner Friesen, Commissioner Parks,
Yes.
Commissioner Weitzel,
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0 on all of them. Thank you. Appreciate it, Helen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate that. With this next 7B, John Weitzel's recusing himself from this particular section, technology upgrade for Reno County Correctional Facility.
Morning, Commissioners. Tim, IT Director. I'm here with Sheriff Campbell to discuss a technology upgrade for Reno County Correctional Facility. I wrote that definition there that kind of defines why it's needed, but just to kind of go over the technology side of it. Technology out of the facility is aged. It's becoming more and more expensive to maintain and upkeep, and parts are becoming harder to acquire. We can't warranty, so if we have a catastrophic failure, then it's a big problem at that point. And so we need $487,000 thereabouts to purchase new equipment and software to do so, coming out of the 097 fund, which is dedicated for these kind of purchases at the facility. One thing that wasn't on that description, I wasn't, I should have been expecting, but there was another quote that came in after the fact for about $101,000, which was for the Milestone software. We're still working on that. A significant chunk of that is labor, but that labor can be done in-house. So it was about $58,000, I believe, that was labor. So that'll be another point to come up. But with that, I can answer any questions you may have, or like I said, Sheriff's here to answer any questions on his behalf too.
Commissioner Bogner? I see you had your finger on the button right away.
Yeah, well, you said the software will come later to be used with the new equipment, right?
Well, the software specifically for the video cameras, the Gallagher software, the one that maintains the access controls and stuff like that, that's part of inclusive into this. But for the video recording system, that software will hopefully be getting the quote in the next couple of days. But in theory would be deployed at the same time, so.
And I saw something in reading through that there was a contingency plan for not spending it all at once, and using some of the older equipment with the new equipment and changing it out as needed.
Right, and that's how we were able to get the price down a little more. So with this new system, the existing cameras and a chunk of the equipment will work with it, and then we can upgrade it as it fails to something newer. And we're not confined to those compatibility requirements that we are now.
So that was part of why the big difference in cost?
Yeah.
I mean, cost estimates
With the quote from Convergent prior, that was also including new intercoms, but LT Solutions says they have a way to implement this whole system without replacing the intercoms and stuff. So yeah, that was a significant.
And they are functional and will be okay. We won't cause any problems by not.
Yeah, it should be functional with this new new integration that they can do. So
Good.
that is what they provided to us. So
So in reading through that, that's what I picked up on, but I just wanted to make it clear in my mind.
okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments? Sheriff, you got anything to add?
No, just as you can see on the timeline, this isn't a hasty decision, and we tried to bring everybody to the table to try to make the right decision. It's taken us a while to get to this point. In the meantime, Director McLaughlin and his crews and Maxine has done a wonderful job in putting Band-Aids on this, even come out in the middle of the night to replace certain hard drives to keep the system running. But this is also a officer safety issue as far as an evidentiary issue based on the camera systems that go down. With the system we have now, we never know until we try to go get that video and it's not there. We found that it's failed. Hopefully this upgrade will not also be a proprietary. The system we have now is a proprietary, which means we have to go through that company. And they no longer support the system, and it's very expensive. So in our research with the IT and maintenance, like I said, trying to get everybody to the table to make the right decisions, that's going to be working with it and supporting us, as well as the software. I think this is the right way to go. The Gallagher system was implemented in Ford County. We actually did a trip out there and spoke with Bill Carr, the sheriff, and did a tour of his facility and how everything's operating, and everything is integrated very well. The gentleman that actually gave us the best price for this is the one that was that headed up the project for Ford County. So I'm very confident that he's competent enough to perform the job as well.
All right. Thanks, Sheriff. Appreciate it. Randy? Money-wise, might share with people.
So in the county equipment reserve fund, there's $527,000. That was remaining funds from the sales tax that built the jail that has to be used at the jail. So that'll easily cover the $487. With year-end transfers, the jail also has earmarked $263,000 in the reserve fund. So all the money for the $487 and then the additional quote that Tim received would be covered by the county equipment reserve fund.
Okay. Any other comments?
I would make one comment, the fact that IT and the sheriff's department and the IT spent time to research this and come up with a savings on some vendors by being persistent has saved $500,000.
Good work, guys.
Yep. Any other comments?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Friesen. Second.
Yeah, I'll say.
Seconded by Commissioner Bogner. Any further comments? Yes.
Does that include the additional quote? Or just what's on the agenda?
Well, what's your recommendation?
Both. Tim, and Sheriff, are you recommending that additional 100,000? I don't have the number, but.
Yeah, it's 101,000 and some change. I'm confident it's going to come in at lower than that because, like I said, a significant chunk is labor.
Okay.
So yeah, it would be a request of that plus up to 101,000.
My motion is to approve as recommended by staff.
Okay. Seconded by Bogner still? Okay. Further comments? Not? Roll call.
Commissioner Hurst,
Yes.
Commissioner Friesen,
Yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
Commissioner Commissioner Bogner.
Yes.
All right. Motion passes 4-0, I guess, all right, with the recusal.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Good job, Tim. Thanks.
7C, water purchase agreement for Yoder Water District. Oh, yeah, he's not back in. Yep, nope, you gotta keep me lined out here, appreciate that.
We're better off to sell or something and stay legal. Yeah, it was different around.
Yeah, we'll have to do that more often. So. All right, 7C, Mr. Weitzel's back in the room. Water purchase agreement for Yoder Water District 101 with the city of Hutchinson. Well, water pressure might be an issue.
Commissioners, short, relatively straightforward here. The Yoder Water District needs more water than it currently has. It has a bit of a quality issue with KDHE it needs to remedy. The solution staff would like is to purchase water from the city of Hutchinson. We've been in discussion with them for a while about this. They supplied the contract that's being presented by staff. Staff have reviewed it with them, and we're asking the commissioners to approve it so that they can so staff can start making arrangements to connect with the city of Hutchinson's water supply and keep that district moving.
Comments? Motion? Comment? No comment?
I'll make a comment, a question or two. Is there, and I didn't read this anywhere in there, they can cut it off at any time. Is there let's say we spend $600,000, $1 million to get the water line in, and a year from now they decide no.
No, there's a average amount of, I want to say 32,000 gallons per day that we have. We acquire the right to buy that from them at their price. They can't, they're saying, yes, we'll give you that. The only way that they could stop it is if they were under a water reduction plan for the city. In other words, if the city residents were under water reduction, then Yoder would also be under water reduction. But no, as written, they can't. They're saying, yeah, we'll make this much water available to you unless we don't have water.
And there was a provision in there if they do decide to terminate this, that they have to give 36 months notice.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, if they gave the 36 months notice, they could start unwinding it. So, I mean, I guess there could be the capital sunk cost, and then they could back out of it after 36 months. We had to try and get as much time as we could out of them, and that was the number that they were willing to give up.
Yeah, well, that was, I read that in there, and so that was my initial concern was the fact that, okay, down the line without notice, and they'll give you notice, but the fact that you spend this money and can be automatically cut off, but just at their say so, even though there's a limited amount of gallons that we can get, and they answered my other question with regard to we would be under the watch when they're under, the city of Hutchinson's under the watch.
I mean, I think county staff have some concern about that arising someday as well. We're going to work with them closely, and ultimately, the city of Hutchinson isn't required to sell water to the water district, and they're doing this in kind of a partnership with us.
And my other question, we've talked about this in the last year or two, and they were looking into, the city of Hutchinson was actually looking into acquiring more water rights. And I was just wondering if anybody heard how that's proceeding, or if that's still working on it, or I think that's something that the next city-county meeting that maybe could be answered to see how far they're getting along with acquiring other water rights, because that water right has to do with the fact of the industrial park also and future movement. So might be something worth checking into later on.
Any other comments? No? It is quite much today. So we need a motion? I would like to make a motion?
Well, nobody else is sticking up. I'll move to approve the contract as presented by staff with the city of Hutchinson providing water or additional water to the Yoder Water District.
I will second.
Motion by Commissioner Hurst, seconded by Commissioner Weitzel. Further comment? Not? Roll call.
Commissioner Hurst?
Yes.
Commissioner Friesen?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
Commissioner Weitzel?
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner?
Yes. Sigh of relief out there. Finally. Finally got there.
Yeah, thank you for all your work on this, Don.
Yes, absolutely. All right, moving to number 8, County Administrator Report. Give me your mouse. Give me your mouse. I'm just kidding.
I don't have anything.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry.
I'm kidding.
Just letting you know that, and I will be putting this out for kind of an RFP or a bid process, tax credits. So the courthouse roof that we did last year, that was kind of separate from the other courthouse improvements in Kitchney, but took place about the same time. There was $293,706 worth of qualified work, and the Kansas Historical Society gave us 30% of that, so $88,112 is available for us to put out to bid for people to buy tax credits. If you remember, we got a little over 90% on the last tax credit that we sold earlier this year, so we'll put that back out to banks. Local banks are eligible. Someone that wants to buy tax credits will do that. Hopefully in the month of August, put that out and get it back sometime this fall for approval by the commission. And then I forwarded you guys an email last week. Carissa with the City of Hutchinson mentioned the Reno County, City of Hutchinson, City of South Hutchinson housing survey. So I emailed you guys the links and the hard copies for PDFs, but I also printed those off. So you'll notice that you have 3 copies of the English version of the housing survey, and then 1 copy of the Spanish version, and then the cover sheet that has a QR code. If you guys want to take those around to your place of employment, your businesses, or if you know anyone else in various communities outside of Hutchinson or in Hutchinson that can use the hard copies or the QR code. We're looking, I think it's open for a month. It started last week. And so I'm hoping that that gets out to as many places in the county, entire county as possible to get everyone's input. That's what I have.
That's it?
That's all.
Well, how about some county commission reports? Commissioner Friesen, anything to share?
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple things. One is I was out of town last meeting, and the technology worked pretty good for me, so thank you for that. No problems. I know it's a little harder sometimes when there's a commissioner remote. Hopefully I didn't sound too agitated.
No. I thought it went real well.
I know there were a couple times where we were going back and forth, and it's really hard to, know how somebody's feeling without the facial feedback.
Facial
Yeah.
expression, yeah.
So thanks for that. The other question I had, just kind of preparing. I think all the commissioners want to prepare for the decision on the what the Planning Commission is pushing back. A couple of questions of when do we expect that to be on our plate?
We can either have it next meeting, August 14th, I believe is your next commission meeting. The Public Works Director and Planning Director would not be available at that meeting. If we do it on August 28th, the planner, Mark Bonachin, would not be available. If you guys want to have it quickly, August 14th would probably be the first time we could do it, or you can wait till September.
Okay. And then just to reorient, this is a decision that's quasi judicial. Is that correct?
No, this is actually a legislative decision because you're creating rules that don't exist. Quasi judicial is more like when you have a specific, have a specific permit application or an application that is going into for a specific item within your current zoning scheme. This is creating a new zoning scheme, so it's legislative.
Well, I heard that we're building a record, which, why do we need to build a record if it's like any other decision?
Well, we've built the Planning Commission has the public hearing records, and so what we don't want is someone to bring up new information that didn't go into the planning commission. So but I think all the record, I would be very surprised, given that this is legislative. I don't think there's anything new that could come up at this point. There's been multiple hearings, the first round and the second round. The public is, I know you can always find members of the public who aren't informed, but there have been, as the county has given plenty of legal notice that this is out there. So everyone's had a chance to speak at the planning commission that wants to. Staff have directed everybody who's wanted to contact us. We've tried to direct them to the planning commission. So I don't really have any concerns about that issue at this point.
So we can introduce our own evidence just like any other item.
I'm not sure I understand I'm not sure what evidence the commissioners would introduce, but because it's legislative, you guys have the ability to make your vote or your decision based on anything you find relevant. When it's quasi-judicial, you're required to follow the code as it's written. When you're making zoning, when you're making new code, you don't have to follow. You can base that decision on whatever you find relevant.
Well, I mean, my question is mainly because I think there's a couple specific points related to this that I haven't necessarily seen any evidence that supports certain opinions, and it sounds like that doesn't really matter.
May I interrupt here a second? The last time when we went through the wind situation, we were presented by the planning commission, by the planning director, all the information in printed form, and that we could review those. So we had time to sit down and go through those. They were made available at the courthouse so that we could, as a commissioner, could come in and look at those and then determine from that our own thoughts with regards to not only ban or no ban, but also on recommendations for regulations.
Well, I feel like you're putting two different issues together, because I think the record and all of the volumes of information was related to a conditional use permit, which was quasi-judicial. And then we were, I think that was even before my time. And then we made certain decisions on banning wind, which was not.
Well, I think you're both I think you're both somewhat right. The planning commission everyone who's mailed in comments will be made available to you guys. I'm sure that'll be coming out before whatever meeting it is. And then you'll have access to that whole record. Everyone who's emailed a comment, wrote a letter, delivered a petition, you'll have access to all that. And then you have the ability to look through that and decide which of those, whatever you find most relevant from that, and base your vote and your decision on that record. So you kind of have, I think both of these are kind of accurate.
Well, what I'm trying to do is get the rules set up so we all know what the rules are. When we have a conditional use permit, we build this record, which we keep talking about, and that is the only source that we can use for decision making. That is not the case here. We have a record, but if somebody approaches me and says, I want to talk about it, I can talk to them, right?
Yeah.
Because if you said no, then I mean, what I don't understand is why you're reserved on this, because any other topic, you would say yes, but you're hesitant to say yes on this one.
Well, I don't know if I'm hesitant. I'm trying to do my best job and guide the county through the controversial issue. And what we really wanted was all of the energy that both sides have had on this to go into the planning commission, because that's really where the process was designed for them to go at that point in time.
So what you're saying is best practice here for the community to see what we're doing would be to use the record and not things that aren't in the record.
Commissioner Friesen's leading the witness, but somewhat. I think that, but I think, yeah. But I think that's a good characterization. I mean, it really, when people would call the staff, we would really encourage them to participate in the planning commission meetings. That's where that energy all needs to go. When you have a specific item like a conditional use permit, what you don't want is to have someone miss the hearing and then show up and give you something like, oh, you said it wasn't residential, but there's a residence, or some important fact. Obviously, with legislative decision-making, there's different factors, and the commissioners are not required legally to weigh the evidence. You can weigh the evidence however you want to. You're not required to base your opinion on any specific item you've got.
Well, I'm just trying to pull that out because I know where we're going to tangle on this issue. And I would hope when we have the debate, like there's actual facts that are presented. Like when somebody comes to a planning commission meeting and makes a statement, they're not qualified, they're not a scientist or anything else, and they make a statement, I don't put a lot of weight in that if it's a matter of like factual information. And then people Google things, I don't put a lot of weight on that either. And so I'm hopeful when I look at the record, if we're debating things, that they're based on facts that we can prove and not just what somebody feels might happen. So, but it doesn't seem to matter on this issue.
With legislative authority, like with many other matters, the commissioners need to do what they think is best interest of the county while also representing your constituents the way they have desired to be represented. So,
okay. So will we have like the full record electronically?
I don't want to speak for Mark, but I think that's the plan, yes.
Okay.
I think staff will get that to you. I don't know when or how long it will take him. He may have it already, or it may take him some while to compile that.
Oh, I think I'm almost done. And if we want additional information, is it better to kind of have that conversation with all of us together so we're all getting, like, I have questions for Mark. Should we just wait till the meeting?
You could. I mean, it would. I don't really think there's a huge issue with you asking Mark individual questions beforehand.
So, Mr. Chair,
But he will probably share the answers with everybody then.
Yeah.
So that would be.
I mean, I don't know what you think and the rest of the commission, but this is a pretty big decision and there's a lot of information. And one suggestion or thought I had was having a two-part conversation. One where it's more of a study session where we have a back and forth, we get all the information we want, and then we take a week or two, process it, and then come back for decision making. But
Are you asking me?
Well, I think you set the agenda. I'm kind of laying it out there for all the commissions.
I guess my feelings on this is we've had discussion back and forth for months and months and months, and we've heard the facts presented. They've certainly had their hearings and did the fact finding and made a decision. I don't know that we need any more facts for us. I think every one of us knows which way we're bent on this perhaps, and an open discussion in a meeting would be plenty good.
Well, that's where I'm a little, it's challenging to me because I think all that work they did, like I'm hearing like we've already made our mind up, which I don't.
I mean, if the fact-finding mission and having a meeting is the purpose of coming back in to rehash stuff that's already been hashed out and taken care of, I don't see the purpose in that, personally. But if it's like new discovery we just talked about, we don't really need that because that's been done. I mean, I think every one of the five of us know which way we'll vote, and it could be open dialogue just in a meeting. I think the purpose of that might be to come in and persuade others to change their mind how they vote or not, but I don't know.
I would say, Mr. Chair, I would
like
like a couple of weeks to review the record because there's a lot there, and I want to
Well, I don't know that we need to do it right away.
Yeah.
Certainly, I would be open to the first part of September if that's adequate time for people to review.
Yeah.
I would like both Dawn and Mark to be here.
Could I make a motion to set a agenda item?
Yeah, you could make that motion.
I mean, do I have the floor to do that?
Sure.
Well, I would motion that we place a study session on this item for, is our September 11th, is that our next?
September 11th is the next time that September 11th is the next time that Mark and Don will both be here again. And I was wrong. It'll be Mark that's gone on the first meeting in August, Don on the second meeting in August. So if you want to do a study session on September 11th, we could do that.
I would motion for this topic. What's the topic specifically? To review the recommendations on solar
From the Planning Commission.
from the Planning Commission, study session on September 11th, and a business item on September 25th.
I'll second that.
A second by Commissioner Weitzel. Further comments?
I think it's a good idea to put it in September. We need all the people here.
I do too.
Plus, we need the time to review the information that was given at the meeting, at the public hearing.
Further comments?
Yeah, and I mean, I just kind of think that, yeah, I mean, yes, we've talked about a lot of this, but just now that the record is there and we'll be reviewing it, I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea to, you know, just for transparency's sake, to do something like this before we actually vote on it.
Okay. Any other comments? Not, let's entertain a roll call.
Commissioner Hurst,
Yes.
Commissioner Friesen,
Yes.
Commissioner Parks,
Yes?
Commissioner Weitzel,
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner.
Yes. Motion passed 5-0.
Thanks for entertaining that. That's all my comments. Thank you.
No problem. Commissioner Booker.
To continue on, I think it's a good idea that we'll talk a little more about this. I think there were some things that weren't even talked about in Planning Commission. They're very relevant. New laws that have just come into effect and comments by our federal agencies that the Planning Commission could not have known about it in their studies. And the other thing I think on this subject is you don't leave any job half done. They're within a meeting of getting some regulations, and that'd be my question. We've got 4 segments of solar. We've got regulations on 3. And I think it was a mistake to stop the regulations, because no matter how our vote comes out, you should have a set of underlying regulations, because either way it goes, future commissions may have a different take, and it ensures that there's an underpinning there of regulations that fall back on ban lifted, or I said ban. If there is a ban, lifted. If there is no ban, you need the regulations, and they're within. Don has said in the previous meeting, he's within about it. Meeting. Personally, I think that's what needs to happen. As for other things, I have no comments.
I might weigh in just real quick on that comment if I could. It's if this board so chose not to pass that issue at a supermajority to ban that, it's going to go for regulations at that point anyway, is it not? Which would be the same process to come to us and critique those regulations.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's relatively accurate. I mean, if you did an amendment that prohibited it completely, that could be relatively short. But
right,
I think the proponents and the opponents both want some form of regulation. Even the people who are proponents of it understand that it has to be regulated, so there'd have to be something on the books either way.
Okay, all right.
Just a question related to your comment.
Yeah.
Is this, because it's a recommendation, I always get confused on what's what statutorily, but is this, if we don't agree with them, it requires a supermajority, or is that not the case?
Planning Commission staff and I have started looking at that yesterday after the decision, and we will have a further opinion on that in the future.
Okay.
The statute, we've been reading the statute, and I don't want to give an opinion on it until I've completely made up my mind and talked to some people.
But you'll put that in the packet.
Yeah,
your opinion.
That will be, my opinion on that will be out there. Well, and I appreciate the extra time. That's another good reason to have plenty of time on this.
Okay, thanks.
Anyway, that wasn't my comments. Commissioner Hurst?
Pretty simple. We can either approve it, we can not approve it, or we send it back to the Planning Commission for our further review upon our recommendation. That's simple to me. I do want to thank all the people, the businesses, and the individuals. I've heard that the 4-H fair was quite a success, and the sale had new participants with the sale to help the 4-H kids get money for not only their next project, but also for their college or wherever they may go in the future. So I just want to say a special thank you to all the businesses and individuals that supported the kids in our youth program at the 4-H. That's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Weitzel.
So, of course, today is the last day of Make America Great Again month. And, as I've been out in the community and out talking to people and things, I just, and maybe there's not, but I just feel a sense that there's a lot more community involvement, a lot more people getting involved and, getting to know their neighbors and stuff. And so that's how we build community. That's how we make our community greater, is by getting to know our neighbors and, bringing them some cookies or, helping them get to the doctor or, mowing their grass, basically being servants to each other. And so I've been very encouraged by that. Went to a meeting that the city of Hutchinson put on yesterday, where they're talking about their plans and goals and things like that. It was actually a really, really good format, I think. Rather than having a bunch of speakers that you get up and, kind of struggling to stay awake through some of them maybe. It was they had different stations and, you had sticky notes and you put your opinions on there. And so I thought the way that was done was very, very good. And so kudos to the city for that. There were a lot of people to talk to get information on. It was just a really good way, I think, for the community to come together as they're doing some of these things with the downtown and with things they're trying to do. And so, again, kudos to the city for that. And just wanted to wish everybody a happy last day of July, and now we get into August.
Well, for those of you that's never seen me really sweat, Sandra has pictures of that from Saturday. So I've been working on a project, and I'm going to change subject, so we got something a little lighter, on a project for several months about moving a memorial at the fairgrounds. Well, that memorial has been moved. It's in its new location. It does now have some shrubbery around it, probably do a little different stuff in the spring, but being this late in the year, you have to do what you can. It's got a lot of mums and some grass surrounding it. But for those of you that haven't seen that, it's just south of the 4-H meeting building there on the North Drive coming in off of what would be like where the new fire department is. So they've taken out brick, and they put Ward Davis put in all new concrete there, tying in, going down to the stage by Lake Talbot. And so they've getting written up a couple of times up there at Fairhead for ADA impassability for that. So now it's all approved, goes through there, but it's got its own peninsula with that memorial setting there. The final phase of that is going to be, she's taking pictures and videos all along. In fact, her and I watched him move that and couldn't even look because that old marble, you just never know what's going to happen to it. So final phase of that will be some kind of a bronze placard in front of it commemorating who made the move possible. Multiple contributors in different ways on that. Wolseley Monument moved that monument for us and cleaned it. And then also that placard will have a QR code on it you can scan to get some background information, that kind of stuff. So that'll be kind of cool. It's a nice addition. But on the back side of that, what's interesting during this whole project going on, what gets called SAR, Sons of American Revolution, they're putting a bench back there. That'll be epoxied to the concrete. It's direct descendants of the Revolutionary War veterans. I got to meet some of those folks the other day, and nice people. And Brian thought that'd be a nice addition to the back side of it, facing the lake there, which they're currently trying to fill. Man, it's low. And so if you get a chance, go up and see that. It's not quite done yet. I know we'll do a release on that when it's done, but it's been quite a project to get it moved. It's really happened in a pretty short amount of time. It's pretty amazing how it came along and people that wanted to get on board with it. They originally started by approaching Brian about moving that to fairgrounds, and him and the board went out and looked at it because he hadn't been here very long, didn't know it, and the board didn't even know it was there. And if I'd seen it, it'd been when I was little, and so they got excited and contributed some money towards it too. So anyway, kind of a neat project. You might go check it out if you get a chance, and that's all I really got to say today. I think we're to a point where we're going to recess for an executive session here for 15 minutes. I'll make that motion. Do we want to stay in here? I think we can. We're toward the end. We'll come back again if somebody has some final something. But anyway, we'll recess and hate to boot everybody out. But I motion we move the board to enter an executive session until, let's say, 10:35 with the county administrator and county counselor. The subject matter is private personnel matters, and justification for the executive session is to discuss personal matters of non-elected personnel. Do I have a second for that?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Weitzel. All in favor, say yay.
Yay. Aye.
Yay. All right. I give an extra 5 in case anybody needs to slip out.
been working in the shop early morning.
We're on air. We officially came back into session after the executive session. And any further comments? If not, we're going to adjourn. Thank you.